Have you ever witnessed a bond so profound, so seemingly unshakable, that it looked destined to withstand anything, only to watch it disintegrate in the glare of the public eye? That's exactly the spectacle playing out between Meghan Markle and Tyler Perry. Once hailed as her savior from the stormy royal fallout, the man she affectionately called family is now rumored to be sitting on a cache of private recordings that could fracture the flawless narrative she's worked so hard to maintain. And as speculation reached a fever pitch, Meghan made a move no one anticipated. She wiped him out of her story. No trace remained online. No heartfelt tributes, no christening snapshots, not even a token acknowledgement. As if he'd never existed at all. But Tyler didn't forget. And if he ever decides to share what he knows, the consequences could make every royal controversy before this look tame by comparison. It all began the day Harry and Meghan cast aside their royal duties in a blaze of headlines and controversy. You probably remember the endless coverage. Megxit screamed across newspapers worldwide. Overnight, they were labeled everything from freedom-seeking trailblazers to reckless deserters. But away from the cameras, their reality was far less glamorous, a frantic search for a place to land safely. A place beyond the reach of palace influence. That sanctuary came in the form of Tyler Perry. He didn't merely offer them a guest suite. He opened the doors of his sprawling Beverly Hills estate, arranged protection, and let them use his private jet whenever they needed it. For months, the Sussexes found a haven behind those walls. To Meghan, Perry wasn't just a friend. He was a lifeline. She honored him with the title of godfather to her daughter Lilibet, a gesture that, in royal circles, implies an unbreakable bond. But even the strongest trust can curdle when agendas shift. To the public, the picture was spotless. All they saw were heartfelt documentaries, polished interviews, and the tearful confessions of two people forging their independence. Tyler was part of that scripted fairy tale, beaming proudly in front of cameras, lauding their courage, pledging to always stand by their little girl. Yet behind those closed doors, the reality was more tangled. According to insiders, every guest in Perry's household had to sign strict confidentiality agreements, standard practice in Hollywood's elite circles. But hidden among the usual clauses was one provision so meticulous it now seems prophetic. If either party publicly severed ties, the other was free to speak their truth, completely and legally. Most assumed it was a formality no one would ever dare invoke. Until Meghan decided to disappear him. The first tremor came when Derek Dixon hit Perry with a jaw-dropping lawsuit, hundreds of millions in damages, accusing him of cultivating a hostile work environment. Perry flatly denied every charge, but the allegations were enough to crack the carefully crafted image. Meghan, always meticulous about public optics, made a choice that left even her closest confidants speechless. She didn't step forward to defend him. She didn't issue any statement of solidarity. Instead, her team launched a quiet purge of any evidence they'd ever been close. Instagram posts? Deleted. Press releases naming him godfather? Retracted. Even Lilibet's Wikipedia page was edited to erase the connection. In less than 2 days, the man who had sheltered her family when no one else would become an inconvenient liability to be scrubbed. That cold erasure set off a domino effect she never anticipated. Within Tyler Perry's inner circle, disbelief gave way to anger. Those close to him say he felt profoundly betrayed, as if he'd been nothing more than a tool, discarded the moment his name threatened Meghan's polished reputation. He hadn't been a casual benefactor or a ceremonial godparent. He'd been there for every crisis, every 3 a.m. meltdown, every frantic call when the royal machine threatened to swallow them whole. He'd heard it all, and more importantly, he'd documented it all. Photos, messages, voice recordings, drafts of statements Meghan never released. Question no longer was whether he had the receipts. It was whether he was ready to reveal them. Word in entertainment circles is that he's considering exactly that. Multiple producers have leaked that Perry's representatives have been entertaining offers from major outlets eager to land the story. Some networks have reportedly booked studio time in anticipation. One executive even called it the most anticipated betrayal since Oprah's Big Sit Down. That wasn't an exaggeration. Tyler goes on record, he could dismantle the public narrative Meghan and Harry spent years, and untold millions, constructing. He could confirm what palace insiders have always hinted, that the love story was never quite as pure as it looked. Behind the scenes, Meghan's PR operation is in overdrive. You can see the desperation on her social channels, an endless parade of pastel-toned branding, curated recipes, wellness tips, and aspirational photos. Anything to shift attention from the one question that refuses to fade: what happened to Tyler? Even her corporate partners are rattled. A prominent fashion label has paused their collaboration with her, fearing the fallout could stain their brand. And in the midst of it all, Harry is left torn apart, caught between loyalty to the man who gave him shelter when his own father turned away, and the woman whose entire identity could unravel if the truth comes out. For Harry, this is more than another media storm. It's personal to his core. He can still picture those nights arriving at Perry's gates, carrying the weight of an entire monarchy's judgment. The relief of knowing his family was finally safe. The guilt over what they'd left behind. The dread that none of it was permanent. Back then, Tyler's generosity wasn't charity. It was a lifeline. Watching Meghan delete that history is, for him, a second betrayal layered on the first. Friends close to Harry say he spends sleepless nights pacing the property, questioning how it all came to this. Then there's the legal wildcard. The very NDA Meghan's advisors once counted on to keep everyone silent? It has a hidden edge. 'Cause if Tyler believes she has publicly rejected him, that clause allows him to defend his reputation in explicit detail. No cryptic posts. No sugar-coated statements. Just the raw, unfiltered reality. Every meltdown, every strategic phone call, every unguarded confession about the royals. For a couple that champion transparency, this could be the most transparent reckoning of all. And while Meghan tries to hold her ground, Buckingham Palace is quietly reveling in the spectacle. Courtiers who were once accused of stifling her freedom are now watching, satisfied, as Hollywood's glow exposes a different kind of cruelty. Every time Meghan's team erases another memory of Tyler, every time a rumor leaks about what he's sitting on, the royal brand regains a sliver of public sympathy. They don't have to say a word. The Sussexes are dismantling their own myth. But this is more than just a reputation crisis. Meghan's livelihood, her podcasts, her production deals, her lifestyle brand, is rooted in a single promise: that she's authentic, that she tells the truth. Tyler Perry decides to share what he knows, it won't merely dent her image. Could obliterate it. 'Cause when your empire is built on a story, there's nothing more dangerous than someone who holds the unedited version. Already, data firms are tracking the decline. Social sentiment is shifting. Where followers once defended her passionately, there's now a chorus of doubt. This isn't a simple backlash. It's a slow, grinding collapse of credibility. And in Hollywood, losing credibility is the same as losing everything. Meanwhile, the calls keep coming to Tyler's team. Networks are lining up, ready to bankroll a tell-all that would dominate headlines. His advisors are said to be reviewing proposals with painstaking care. 'Cause Tyler understands the gravity of what he holds, and how quickly Meghan moved to erase him. That's the part no one can ignore. It wasn't the lawsuit that cut the deepest. It was how quickly she acted as though he'd never mattered. As if everything he'd done, every favor, every late-night reassurance, was a chapter she could simply delete. And that cold dismissal is why he's not rushing to defend her. In conversations with people he trusts, Tyler has been clear. He won't be cast as the villain for offering help when no one else would. He believes he has the right to protect his reputation, to share the truth about those critical months when the Sussexes were at their most vulnerable. And if it comes to that, he's prepared. So now the world waits to see which path he'll choose. The Sussexes have invested years in controlling their story, shaping it into a brand that could withstand anything. But at this moment, all that power sits in Tyler Perry's hands. And if he decides to break his silence, Meghan's narrative may never recover. 'Cause no amount of curated content can bury a story this personal. Some truths have a way of surviving any attempt to suppress them. And sometimes all it takes is one determined voice to expose it all. And while Meghan's advisors scramble to plug the leaks, the reality is setting in that some relationships can't be memory holed without consequences. 'Cause the people who were there during your lowest moments remember everything, especially when they feel they've been reduced to a footnote. Tyler Perry didn't simply lend her a spare room. He offered his entire support system. He shielded her family when the palace wouldn't. To him, that meant something. And watching it be erased overnight didn't just feel cold, it felt calculated. Hollywood insiders are now calling this one of the most unpredictable celebrity rifts in recent memory. Executives who once lined up to collaborate with Meghan are suddenly wary. They've seen what happens when she perceives someone as a liability, how swiftly she distances herself, how thoroughly she rebrands. And the unspoken question lingers: if she could do it to Tyler Perry, who else could be next? That uncertainty is rippling far beyond Montecito. Influential publicists and crisis managers are studying this saga as a cautionary tale. It's a vivid example of how a carefully curated persona can unravel when you treat loyalty as a disposable commodity. 'Cause in an industry built on perception, the impression of ungratefulness is the fastest way to corrode goodwill. And the public is paying close attention. Comment sections have become a battleground, supporters still clinging to the image of Meghan as an underdog, skeptics pointing to the pattern of discarded allies. Even people who once defended every decision she made are hesitating, wondering if there's more to the story than they were ever allowed to see. Meanwhile, Harry is caught in a storm of conflicting loyalties. Those close to him say he's never looked more conflicted, torn between the gratitude he feels toward Tyler and the fierce instinct to protect his wife. The man who once stood before the world and declared he would do anything to safeguard his family now faces a dilemma with no painless solution. And the irony is impossible to ignore. The same couple who demanded their privacy at all costs may be facing the most intimate exposure of all. 'Cause if Tyler Perry decides to share what he knows, it won't be filtered through palace spin doctors or sympathetic interviewers. It will be his unvarnished account, backed by evidence that no press release can erase. Producers circling the story say this isn't about tabloid gossip anymore, it's about credibility. Tyler holds the proof that he was more than a casual acquaintance. That he was embedded in their inner circle during the most consequential decisions of their lives. And that's what makes this so dangerous for Meghan's brand. Every time her team issues a bland statement or posts another lifestyle update, it only fuels the perception that she's avoiding accountability. Because the public can sense when someone is trying to run out the clock on a scandal. And in this case, silence isn't coming across as dignified, it's looking more like guilt. In private, Perry is said to be weighing not just the legal risks but the personal toll. He never wanted to be the center of this drama. He never sought out the attention. But the moment his generosity was treated like an inconvenient detail to be airbrushed out, the story stopped being about pity and started being about principles. One insider familiar with the situation put it bluntly: Tyler Perry feels he has nothing left to lose. His career doesn't depend on Meghan's approval. His reputation was built long before she ever knocked on his door. And if telling his side is the only way to reclaim that reputation, he's prepared to do it. Even now, Meghan's allies are trying to gauge just how far Tyler is willing to go. Some are quietly reaching out to see if there's any chance of reconciliation, any path back to neutrality. But so far, every overture has been met with polite resistance. Because for Tyler, this isn't about salvaging a friendship, it's about making sure he's not painted as a pawn in someone else's redemption arc. And that's what makes this moment so precarious. The Sussexes spent years controlling their narrative with military precision. But Tyler Perry is the rare figure who can challenge it, not with speculation but with receipts. And receipts, in the court of public opinion, are the only currency that matters. Every day that goes by without a resolution, the stakes climb higher. The media are already preparing think pieces, the networks refining their offers, the public refreshing their feeds for any sign that Perry is ready to speak. It's a slow-motion collision that neither side seems able to avoid. And as the world waits, one truth is becoming clearer by the hour. Some stories are too big to bury, and some betrayals too raw to forgive. Tyler Perry decides to tell everything. It will be the final word, not just on this chapter, but on the myth of unbreakable alliances in a world where image is everything.